Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Jets Afterburners podcast on this last day of the NFL draft. I am just humbled right now to welcome onto the show the great Craig Kilborne, again, who is absolutely very well versed from his time at ESPN as a Sports Center anchor to the original talk show host of The Daily Show and The Late Late Show, also played in the movie Old School, and is also a wine connoisseur. So with that intro, my man, thank you so much, dude, for making this possible.
You're welcome. I love giving back to the young people. I do guest spots on different podcasts around the country. I know you're a sports fan. And I do a podcast called The Life Gorgeous on YouTube and elsewhere, all the audio platforms. But I really like my Instagram. That's the one that's really fun, Mr. Craig Kilborne. So it's good to be here, brother.
Heck yeah. Well, that's where I got you, man. I mean, I was always a big fan of The Late Late Show when you used to do Sports Center with Dan Patrick. Yep. You guys had that energy. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Sports Center and ESPN now. I mean, obviously, it's a different genre. It's just a different era.
It's not the same. It's not the golden era of Sports Center. I have a lot of questions for you, by the way. How long have you been a Jets fan?
I have been a Jet fan for over 35 years.
Wow. And have you ever heard of Joe Willie Namath? No, I'm kidding. Yeah. But so is this podcast mostly Jets? Because I have some comments on the Jets.
Yes, it's mostly Jets, but we have a huge crowd.
So I root for the Jets. I have friends that are Jets fans, and you know, they won the Super Bowl with Joe Willie, and then they've been they haven't been great for a long time. Unlike my Minnesota Vikings, I grew up in Minnesota, and we've always been good, but we were 0-4 in the Super Bowl. But we've always been talented. We still are. My first question, I'm going to ask you a couple Vikings questions. What do you think of Sam Darnold? Because he's now the Vikings quarterback. What do you think of him? Is he talented?
He is. He is talented. He needed, again, when you're talking about the Jets and bringing in quarterbacks, they failed them. They do. The last time that they actually had a quarterback that they groomed the right way, we're talking about 2000 with Chad Pennington. And from there, we just warp speed. Mark Sanchez, throw him out there in the fire. Then again, Sam Darnold, same thing. Then we threw out there Geno Smith, same thing. You know, it took him 15 years to play ball in the NFL, but you know what? He's doing great. Right. And now with Zach Wilson, someone that you knew for a fact that he was as raw as he came out of Utah.
Very talented.
Very talented. He needed the right kind of, you know.
Do you think that Sam Darnold, now we drafted J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan. We want to bring him along slowly. We don't want to be like the Jets and start him as a rookie. Right. We've got this coach, Kevin O'Connell, who is a bit of a quarterback guru, whisperer. And we have a good offensive line. We have the best receiver in football, Justin Jefferson. So Sam Darnold's going to get another shot.
Yep.
And do you think he's more talented than Zach Wilson or about the same?
No, way more.
He's more talented than Zach Wilson?
I'm going to tell you why. He has it between the ears.
Okay.
I've always been a big Darnold fan. I just feel like they really failed him. He had a really good quarterback / backup quarterback, which you guys have right now in Josh McCown.
Yeah, he's the new QB coach.
You're going to love him.
Everyone likes him. Big, phenomenal. Full head of hair, strong jaw. What can't you love, man? What's not to love?
So if there's any team that he could succeed in, and I'm not just saying this because you're on the pod.
No, other people say that. They say it's the Vikings. They said, the experts said of the quarterbacks being drafted, the best place to go is Minnesota because of the offensive line, the coach, and the receivers.
And the lineage, right? Yeah. Like if you think of it, of all the ex-Viking quarterbacks, you're thinking of Jeff George revitalized his career there.
Well, that's the weirdest thing. Okay, this is the weirdest thing. How did the Packers go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers? Unheard of. We had a guy named Fran Tarkenton, and then we had this guy later named Dante Culpepper, who was pretty good for a while. But then you got guys that came in. Gus Frerotte had his best career there.
Yep.
Best stats career-wise. Right. Jeff George was a gunslinger that I really liked.
I liked him.
And he had a great year there. Warren Moon played there, and we led the offense with the NFC offense. Who else did we have? We had some other guy. Brett Favre came there and had his best statistical year with the Vikings, which is really bizarre. But we just haven't had it, man. Now, Kirk Cousins is solid, but he was a top 15 player paid top 5 money, and it really bothered all of us. So we're glad to see him go.
I'm telling you, I think you have the right coaches,
the
right position players. And again, the Jets and the Vikings, they always do their trades, and again, let's go back to Brett Favre. To me, if Brett Favre would have stayed one more year with the Jets, with Rex Ryan and his vaunted defense, how he changed the culture, kind of like what the head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves did right there. That quote that he said afterwards. What did he say? What did he say?
Well, my Timberwolves were up 3-0 against Phoenix, and a reporter asked him last night in Phoenix, the team has been losing for 30 years. And how do you turn the switch? He goes, I wasn't here for 26 years. I don't care what happened before me. And I loved it when he said that. We're winning. I didn't think we would win the first 3 games against Phoenix. Best defensive team in the NBA. Our offense is sometimes inconsistent, but we're clicking a little bit now. And knock on wood, we eliminate the Suns soon. Bring on the best team in basketball and the best player, Denver Nuggets and Jokovic, and we'll see what happens.
It's
going to be tough.
That our audience, the majority of Jet fans, understood that quote, because it's not about the same old Jets.
Correct.
A new mentality in there.
Great defense. The Jets have a great defense. I'm actually an Aaron Rodgers fan. I just think nobody throws a prettier football. He moves well. I hope he still moves well. But it was really unfortunate what happened to him last year. But man, you guys are still excited, right?
I'm super excited. Again, I'm a super fan. I have all this great memorabilia. I'm surrounded. I understand where my depression comes from. So it's because of all these great athletes that have let me down for a very long time. But with that being said, when Aaron Rodgers went down last year, that first game of the season, I know I can't speak, for all the Jets fans. It didn't hurt.
Why? Why not?
It didn't hurt as much as it hurt in '99 when Vinny went down.
Oh.
Because we were coming off the heels of the AFC Championship game.
Okay.
But now you fast forward with modern medicine. Aaron Rodgers is probably 3 to 4 months ahead of schedule.
Right.
If the Jets were in the playoff hunt, this is how wild it was. They were playing against Washington. If there was any glimmer of hope of having playoff aspirations at that point, Rodgers would have came back. Okay. So that's why I'm really not worried about, him recovering from, freaking Achilles tendon. Joe Douglas, the GM of the New York Jets, has done right, and he could not care less about the same old Jets stigma.
So let me ask you, last year the Jets defense was very, very good. I don't know where they finished defensively in the AFC. Are they going to be as good defensively?
Yes, because of, again, having Hassan Reddick from the Philadelphia Eagles, who I think is a supreme upgrade over who we actually lost to the Eagles, and Bryce Huff, a young and up-and-coming pass rusher. You bring that dynamic, and then you bring last year's number 1 pick, Will McDonald, someone who's very bendy. Reminds me a lot. I'm not comparing him like, stature to stature, but a lot of Javon Curse, where he could just bend, jump over offensive linemen and get to the quarterback. You bring that to the table, and I'm going to tell you why I think they're going to be better. It's because they're finally going to have an offense. They're going to have a 5-minute break.
How is the offensive line? Have you improved it? Have you what?
Yes, stout, 100%.
Okay, good.
They finally did. They replicated, believe it or not, what Brady had at Tampa Bay. Exactly what Peyton had when he went to Denver. Like those franchises, they knew that they had a Hall of Fame quarterback on their last leg, and they had to do everything and anything to keep them upright. They're not mobile, even though Aaron was very mobile, early in his time at Green Bay. But right now, they copied the blueprint. Like 2 nights ago, they got the second best offensive tackle in Olu Fashanu.
Oh, wow. Good for them. There you go. Yeah, I watched the Vikings moved up to get JJ McCarthy and a guy named Dallas Turner, an edge defensive stud, 17. But a lot of people are picking them, 4th in the NFC North because of Chicago's improvement. Detroit's the best, and Green Bay is playing well. But it's okay, man. We have a tough division this year. I can handle it.
That's a great division, believe it or not. Young, up-and-coming, quarterbacks there. And you see Green Bay, it's, again, right? Like they went from Favre, they went to Aaron Rodgers. Now they got this kid.
He might be good, right? Jordan Love might be good.
I mean, NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
His first full year. Holy smokes. Like,
yeah.
As a Jet fan, I've been waiting for just one of those quarterbacks where the Jets can groom someone, and the Packers are just knocking it out of the park every single time. Every 10 years, they're picking it up. But just FYI, newsflash, Jordan Love is going to be a New York Jet in about 15 years.
15? Who can wait that long?
I can. So let me pick your brain since you're on.
Okay, go ahead.
On the
West Coast. I was going to ask you if you like
the
head coach. You still like the head coach, right? The Jets?
Oh.
He's good, right? He's a good defensive coach, right? No?
He's too friendly.
Okay.
He's too friendly with the players, but I'm going to save face here. I like what I've seen of him thus far in press conferences, and dude is not smiling. He's like all business. And he reminds me, I remember reading the book on Bill Parcells, and he said, the first 2 years, I was just trying to fit in. When I knew my job was on the line, I had to look towards the mirror and say, who are you?
Right.
What if you're going to make this work? You got to do things your way. Look what happened. 2 Super Bowl wins later.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, kinda.
Okay.
Well, what do you think of Caleb Williams? You're in the West Coast. What is he?
So
Everything?
True confession.
Okay.
Kilby does not watch college football or college basketball. I watch so much NBA. I'm an NBA expert, and I watch the Vikings, and I focus on the NFC. For example, I knew the Niners were really, really good for the last few years. Their defense was incredible, and it's so funny how they go up against Patrick Mahomes and lose, and now they're criticizing Shanahan. He can't win.
Unbelievable.
But they're really good. So I don't know Caleb Williams, but everyone says he's great. And, it's so wild what the Bears did, because my neighbor's a Bears fan, and they traded up a few years ago to get Trubisky. And then they traded up, and they said the Vikes were interested in Justin Fields, but the Bears offered more, and they got him. I can't remember if it was 10 or 11, and they got Justin Fields, who could run the ball. I still think he's talented. And now they're going to do a third shot. The Vikings we drafted a guy named Christian Ponder, who's not, didn't turn out.
Florida State.
Yeah, we don't draft a lot of quarterbacks. Teddy Bridgewater, we draft at the end of the first round. This guy is the first time. JJ McCarthy is the first time we drafted in the top 10 a quarterback in our team history.
Wow,
crazy!
That's huge, man. And you're welcome on being the trade partner with you guys to make that happen. And I think JJ is going to be an absolute stud.
I have no clue. Now, he is a good athlete. I know he did well at Pro Day. But the whole thing is, I don't know if you heard Mel Kiper. He's the hardest quarterback to evaluate in the last, forever, he said. He just, because he wasn't asked to do a whole lot at Michigan.
Well, I'm not, what I'm about to say, it's not to crush your dreams or anything, but he reminds me a lot of Zach Wilson coming out. Now, that's where the comparison ends, because I think the Vikings will have a certain blueprint on how to groom a young quarterback.
Right.
And now you have Sam Darnold in the mix. You have McCown I don't know if you ever seen, the guy is in tremendous shape. I remember going out to Jersey to watch my team from New York practice, which it's its own conundrum, right? I have to travel an hour and a half to watch my team travel in another state. Phenomenal, right? That's a joke within itself. And I would see him, just work with Darnold, his mechanics and whatnot. And I'm like, wow, man, this dude could still play. And he could. Now you have JJ, just most likely he won't see the field probably till probably the 7th or 8th week, or maybe not at all. I think that's their best bet.
Well, I'm pulling for Sam Darnold to be like Baker Mayfield down in Tampa Bay. I want him to have a career year. One of the things, and I haven't seen him play that much, so I've only seen highlights. One of the easy thing is a lot of these guys move better in the pocket than Kirk Cousins. That's one of the frustrating. Jimmy Garoppolo moves better in the pocket when there's pressure. He's quicker on his feet. Kirk is not as mobile as we wanted him to be. It looks like Sam can run it when he has to. Does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how strong is his arm? It looks like he has a pretty good arm. I mean, who has a stronger arm, JJ McCarthy or Sam, or is it the same? We don't know.
I would probably go the same because again, the Rose Bowl game that Darnold had, I think it was it would have to be his sophomore year. You got to check out that game. That the throw that he's capable of doing any kind of throw.
But isn't Zach Wilson capable of a lot of throws? I saw him.
But it's the in game.
What's that?
It's the in game throws.
Right.
Like here in the parking lot, even I could throw a ball. You know what I mean? It's what do you do when the moment comes to fruition? What do you do? And I think Sam has that in him, but he has to be controlled. Okay. There is a controlled chaos kind of attribute with Sam that I've always knew about. And I'm like, all right.
What do you mean? Is it interceptions or what is it?
He could be a gunslinger.
Okay.
He could just, you know what, let me just do what I have to do. And then he gets benched before you know it. I thought actually when he went to the Niners, I thought Shanahan was really going to bring him along like big time. And I think he did. He played pretty well. It wasn't as bad. So now you think about it. He came into the league as a 21-year-old, a complete mess with the Jets. Then he goes to Carolina, kind of learns the ropes a little bit. Then they trade for Baker, and he's like, all right, why'd you bring me here? Then he goes to, correct me if I'm wrong, I think from there he goes to the Vikings. I'm sorry, San Francisco.
Right.
And he's getting the actual tutelage that he needed.
Right.
I think you guys are getting a finished product with him.
I hope so. I'll figure it out once I see him play some games and see what his weaknesses are. Mm-hmm. But I always go in hoping and staying positive, but I love talent. And I know he has talent. So we'll see what happens. Hey, let me ask you. So my dad was born in Queens, went to Teaneck, New Jersey, high school. But he was a Giants fan, New York Giants fan. Phil Simms, Bill Parcells. Mm-hmm. How do you guys decide which team you're going to root for?
That's a great question. So my family is from Italy. From there, they migrated to Argentina. We're a big soccer fan. Mm-hmm. Like you got, my Maradonas, my Messis, Totti's. Anyway, my brother came here, and football is foreign to us. But we don't like like a bunch of millionaires running after an egg-shaped ball. I'm like, what is that? Right. Anyway, my brother was like good friends with a friend, and he was a big Richard Todd fan. He's like, yo, let me show you what the Jets are all about. And the Jets played in Queens at Shea. He went to a game. The rest is history. From there, my kids are Jets fans, unfortunately. Right. And that's the stigma. And again, there is that rivalry. I got to be honest with you, man. If you have, out of all the teams that I cannot stand, it's not the Patriots. You're going to think I'm crazy here. When the Giants faced the Pats, guess who I went for?
The Pats.
You better believe it. Like what you had said earlier, I kind of am on that same wavelength. Like you respect the hell out of Aaron Rodgers. He was in your division.
Yeah, I'm supposed to. I'm a Vikings fan, but you're supposed to dislike the Packers. But I like Green Bay. It's like the San Antonio Spurs. I like small market teams that do really, really well.
100%.
And when I was growing up, I liked Walter Payton for the Chicago Bears. And I think Chicago is a great city. But I still root for the Vikings. I just don't hate the other teams. I, in fact, didn't like the Patriots because they were obnoxious, and my friends were from Boston, and they just thought it was a dynasty and blah, 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 blah. And I joke with them. Right. There's a guy named Bud Grant who coached the Vikings to some Super Bowls. Yep. And I said if he would have participated in his version of Spygate, we would have won a few Super Bowls. Anyways,
he should have sent Pete Carroll out there to check up on the other teams.
There was something else I wanted to ask you. Oh, so one of the things with when you become a fan of a team, this is so silly, but I know guys that are Vikings fans that aren't from Minnesota, and they said ever since I was a kid, growing up in Oklahoma, growing up in California or Texas, I like the Vikings. I said, why? I like the purple uniforms and the horns and the horns on the side of the helmets. They like the uniforms. When you're 8 years old, you like the purple and gold. That's silly.
Well, that's funny you say that because an excellent neighbor of mine who used to live across the street, he moved to Florida. Smart man. He's a huge Vikings fan. Huge. Yeah. We used to talk. We used to banter back and forth.
Right.
And I'm like, I remember that when you guys had a quarterback called, his last name was Kramer, number 9.
Tommy Kramer, number 9 from Rice University. Never met a beer he didn't like.
Tough as nails, man. Yeah. Like that football was so different. Like now, did you hear yesterday what the NFL kind of gave the green light to?
What?
This was, you know what? I'm going to reserve my opinion. I would like to know yours. So you know what the practices for the past 3 or 4 years, they have this foam thing that they put over their heads.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So the NFL, Roger Goodell had stated yesterday that players can play with that on.
Oh, right. I read that. I didn't really look at I saw the headline. Are you kidding me? Is that weird?
It's weird. Like the first name that comes to my head is Kelsey. Was it Kelso from the Bills back in the day? Remember he had that helmet, that double helmet that he had on?
Oh, vaguely remember that. Yeah.
But
we want to protect the brain. That's kind of important.
Very important, but it doesn't make any sense when you're playing 3 days later from Sunday.
Yeah.
It's kind of counterintuitive there.
What's the best Italian restaurant in New York?
Oh, for me? Oh, man.
I love Italian food. I love eggplant parm, veal parm.
I would go. I love going to the city, but after a couple of years or whatnot, more family. I'm out in Long Island. It's Antonino's out here in Long Island.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great spot.
What should I order when I go there?
Oh, you got to go with the veal marsala.
Oh, I love it.
Man.
Little mushrooms there, right? A little white wine or whatever it is. Yeah.
For me, it's Merlot, man.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah.
What's the one with the capers and the white wine? Is that
which one is that one?
Veal I can't guess that cacciatore. I don't remember what it is. I used to eat tortellini pesto when I was in my 20s, but I don't eat a lot of pasta now. Tortellini pesto.
Oh, scarpaglielli. I think that's the one. That's the one with the capers. That's the one. Yeah, good stuff, man. You know your stuff.
Well, they have a Rayo's 8 minutes from my house here in Hollywood. Rayo's Hollywood from the Rayo's in Harlem in New York with all the pasta sauce, which it's hard to get into out there, but I can get in every night here. Isn't that great?
I love it, man. I make my own sauce, man. My jars here full, put that basil right in there. It's a whole family event. So that's the Italian heritage that I got my whole entire family like stomping on grapes once a year. Why not? It's fresh.
You look like you look like a drinker. I'm kidding. That was a joke.
Well, it's funny you say that because I have everything's like right onto my bar right here, which I seldom drink. Once in a while, only like at events or whatnot. I'm there with a drink here and there, but I mean, in my younger days, I'd pound them down. Yes,
sure.
Not anymore.
Good for you.
Kids,
good for you.
I got kids. I got a wife where I love the most, man. I got to make sure I'm setting the precedents.
Right.
Once in a while.
I love it.
So
I love it.
Give me your prediction now. What do you think? Minnesota Vikings, 2024. What do you got?
We always seem to win around 8 or 9 games. I think Vegas has us at 6.5. I don't really care because I know I don't know if you know who our defensive coordinator is, but it's Brian Flores, who used to coach the Dolphins.
Love Brian Flores.
Yeah, and he's good. And we have to improve our defense, and the quarterback obviously is the big question mark. But I'm excited. But I just don't. I think it's going to be very competitive, and I'm going to say. Let me just think for a second. I don't know. You think Caleb Williams is going to have a good rookie year for Chicago, or what do you think?
See, when I look at USC quarterbacks, the first quarterback that comes to mind is Todd Marinovich.
Yes.
And then you go down the list of all these great USC quarterbacks that failed in the NFL. Matt Leinart is another one. The only one that really came close, and I'm going to sound biased here, is Mark Sanchez.
Yep.
Caleb has all the tools. He's pretty parallel to Pat Mahomes with that kind of skill set.
Right.
But not for nothing. If the NFL has had trouble kind of catching up defense-wise to Pat Mahomes, I mean, they're going to pin their ears back to Caleb Williams. So I think you guys are going to demolish them. You're probably going to go 4-2 in your division.
Oh, I hope you're right.
I think so.
Oh my God, I love that.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, we'll see. And I'll be rooting for the Jets because I like Aaron Rodgers and I like my friends like the Jets and they suffer through all the misery. And how's the AFC looking?
So the AFC is always strong. Right now with, of course, Pat Mahomes is a beast within itself. Thank goodness the division where the Jets are in, it's kind of declining. So
yeah, what's up with Buffalo and Josh Allen? Are people down on him or what?
I can't believe it. I mean, before the draft, there was some certain mocks that they were saying that the Bills were going to trade up to 6 with the Giants and swap quarterbacks. And I'm like, what do you do? No, there's no way. There's like no way.
Wow.
That the Bills would ever do that. Now I have a bunch of Bills fans and they're like, we wouldn't trade him for 9 first-rounders. There's no way.
Yeah, he's very gifted. Yeah, and my guy Diggsy, who I used to love with the Vikes, Stephon Diggs, they ran him out of town. He's bad attitude or what?
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of tweets. I think that messes so many young players is that they speak their mind on social media and you don't really know where it's coming from.
Right.
As opposed to like how we are right now on the air and stream. When you say something, there's facial features. There's certain things that you're like, all right, you know what? This person's being facetious about it. When you tweet something out, you can't pull that back.
Right.
You try to delete it. Someone already took a snapshot on it and it's done. It's a done deal. I think these young players have been given that freeway. Say, all right, you know what? Say whatever you want.
Right.
I think that's going to be curbed very soon, if you ask me.
Where do you have the Jets finishing this year?
Oof.
Let's say Rodgers plays well.
Yep.
I'm not saying great. I'm saying he's really good. So let's just say he plays really, really well. So there's good, there's really well, and then there's great. So he's right in the middle between good and great.
13-4. The Patriots.
Wait. What are your? You know how I always look at the schedule. This is what I do. I always look at the road games out of the division to see how tough our schedule is. So do you know who you're playing out of the division on the road yet? I mean, they have it listed somewhere.
Yeah,
remember or not?
I off the top of my head right now, no.
Okay.
But I know I could look it up. But to me, it's just answering your question, because I'm thinking you have a healthy offensive line that is built. You have your left tackle from the Cowboys, Tyron Smith. Got on there. Morgan Moses, right tackle from Baltimore.
Right.
You just got the second best left tackle in Olu Fashanu. So your offensive line is set. You have Garrett Wilson, who got his first 2 years, 1,000 yards with absolutely nothing at quarterback. Nothing. Breece Hall in the backfield.
Right. I have it in front of me. You want to hear who you guys are playing?
Go for it.
At Miami.
When?
Doesn't say yet. They're just having the opponents here. You're playing.
I'm a sick fan. Sorry.
You're playing at the Niners and you're playing at the Vikings. Oh. Those are the tough ones. You're playing at the Cardinals. You're playing at Tennessee. Playing at the Jaguars. But no. The Vikings.
It's going to be a tough one.
And the Niners, you're on the road.
That's going to be.
You're home to the Eagles. You're home to.
You had to give us the Eagles again.
The Chargers. You're home to Denver. That's easy. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully Zach's playing.
Yeah. So anyway, I hope you're pretty optimistic. 13-4.
It's
good for you.
Yeah. That's from the Argentina side.
Right.
So that's soccer fandom. I don't know if you ever heard of Boca Juniors. It's a soccer club out in Argentina, and they play in a huge stadium called the Bombonera. And our fans are sick there. We could be losing 4-0, and we're still chanting. And there's some crazy fans there that they go all the way to the top of the stadium. They are dangling from the opposite side of the stadium, one push, and it's done. But they are rooting for their team no matter what. And I think it's not only that fan base, it's NFL fans as well. They have that same kind of approach. I mean, same thing. I'm looking at the Jets every year with that same mentality, and it sucks. Right. It has burned me forever. But I honestly think the Jets are going to do very well this year.
So Buffalo You're having them win the division against the Dolphins in Buffalo, right?
I look at Buffalo, they're decimated. They lost a lot of pieces. I mean, because of their salary cap. They are, I mean, Diggs is a huge loss, enormous. Poyer went to Miami.
Right.
And then the Patriots, they're just on rebuild mode. I mean, the Jets have been salivating for the longest to sweep them. I mean, shoot, it's been over 21 years. Those were my drinking years 21 years ago. That was fun. You know, I mean, look, when the Jets play against the Vikings, you want to come back on?
If you want me to. I mean, we're going to kick your ass.
Probably up until the fourth quarter.
It's the game's at home. No, I don't know if we will. I don't know how I have to see how the quarterback play is doing, but we'll see.
We have no home. The Jets have no home.
You know we're good at home. We're good at home.
No, I'm sure, man. We had
stadium gets loud, man.
Oh my goodness, dude. We had a Vikings fan yesterday or the day before. Yeah, right before the trade, and he was amped up, man. And that name again came up, JJ McCarthy. That was the guy. And
I think they're putting a lot of pressure on him. I can't tell. You know, I told my Jets friends that Zach Wilson was going to be can't miss, and I was of course wrong. I read about him. He just seems so talented, but whatever.
Now, I wanted to pick your brain on this here. Like my GM, Joe Douglas, right now, today, he traded back. He had 3 fourth-round picks, and he continued to trade back all the way. And he wasn't getting much. I mean, he got a next year's third-rounder with Detroit. But my whole thing is, do GMs do this on purpose, moving back, to have some sort of relationship with other teams' GMs in the event during the season there's a trade evolves?
That's a good question. I don't know. I know our former GM, Rick Spielman, used to trade back all the time. He loved getting draft picks. And this time we don't have a lot of picks. We only have 3 on the board for next year because we gave up a bunch of second, third, and fourth rounders, I think, to move up and to make these we had 2 first round picks this year. I don't know what their logic is, and then they have these unrestricted free agents. We have this guy named Ivan Pace who wasn't drafted, and he's a stud on defense. And they also said the Vikings were really close to getting a free agent, undrafted free agent named Brock Purdy, and then the Niners drafted him at the end.
Well, that's funny that you bring that up. So there are rumors right now the Jets have the Mr. Irrelevant pick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. Again, maybe it's the whole Brock Purdy thing, but they are reluctant. They do not want to trade that pick for some odd reason. I don't know if it's because of Woody Johnson.
Yep.
I'm sure you've heard of the great owner of the New York Jets who just loves meddling. Again, Belichick was our coach for a day. As soon as he found out that Woody's the owner, he just jettisoned right out of there. Not fun. But again, I'm just hoping that it ends this year, that finally the Jets could at least win something. I don't know what that feeling's like, man. I mean, we should have met in 98 in that Super Bowl. I mean, you guys had a stellar defense, offense, Randy Moss. What's the
Chris Carter.
Oh my goodness. Robert Smith at running back.
Robert Smith, Ohio State running back.
McDaniel at defensive end. And that one was heartbreaking to me. I remember because that game came on first when you guys played Atlanta, and Gary Anderson, I believe. I couldn't believe that.
Field goal, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks for bringing it up. Appreciate that.
I apologize because not too long after the Jets lost against the Denver Broncos. So I mean, misery loves company. Sorry about that. I apologize. That one hurt the most. That one, to me, 98, that one out of all the losses in Jets history, that one hurt the most. I think with Minnesota fans, that's the one as well, right?
Yeah, that one hurt a lot. We had the best team. We were 15-1. Denny Green was the coach. We had the best team in football, and we screwed up. We also played well in 2009, the NFC Championship game down in New Orleans. Brett Favre was the quarterback. We outgained them considerably. We had close to 500 total yards. We had 5 turnovers, and it was known as Bounty Gate. They went after Favre after the whistle, tried to hurt him. His ankle was bad, but we turned it over. We lost that game. It was a very close game, and that was unfortunate.
That one was a tough one. Yeah, that's the one that he threw across his body, man.
Yeah.
Shoot. Brett, man, he's like, you live and die by the sword, man.
Yeah.
With him.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Listen, Craig, I have to thank you sincerely. Thank you so much for accepting this.
Minnesota, you betcha. But I was born in Kansas City and I lived in New Jersey, in Florham Park, New Jersey.
Wow. Oh, that's where they practice these nice people.
The Giants.
The Jets. The
Jets. Where do the Giants practice?
I think in East
Rutherford. Yeah. So I was in Florham Park when I was really young, before kindergarten, and then I moved to Minnesota. But I remember Friendlies. We used to go to Friendlies to get a grilled cheese sandwich and a root beer float when I was a kid.
That's awesome, man. Look, man, I have to just thank you so much for this opportunity. It was a golden opportunity for me. So whenever you'd like, please hop on the pod and we talk about everything from the Vikings, the Jets, to Kansas City. Anything. Anybody is invited here to the Afterburners podcast.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Go Jets.
Let's do it. All right. Have a great one, man.
Thanks.